when you fall behind, because you have Zach, you have Zeri, right? You have Leona, all of these very forward-facing type of champions, and it just doesn't do anything when you fall behind, and your laning phase just hasn't been good enough, and then you're also giving over some of the strongest picks on this current patch.
I mean, the Showmaker looked a little bit annoyed he wasn't the main character because he often is on this comp, but he crushed lane, right? So that's another issue, right? You mentioned this Showmaker absolutely smashed lane, so you have that pressure there. It's just a really rough time, and the Ashe is so immobile. The Lee Sin, even though he didn't win lane and wasn't that relevant on the map early, can just kind of get on top of you and blow you up or kick you into the team. So I don't know. This draft really didn't hit for me. And CUMAX drafts, in the past, sometimes we've been really wowed by them, but the last few weeks, I think it's part of the struggles we're seeing for Kwangdong. He's just not giving them the right tools.
It's a bit more swingy, and unfortunately, we're at this part of the swing, which is unfortunate for Kwangdong. Let's take a look at the second highlight here, which is where Aiming almost gets a penta, and I mean he had 9 kills at the end of this.
This is really more of a commentary of the state of the game than it is a highlight.
It's very deep,
right? No, I mean not even remotely, but that's what it is. Nothing that happens in this warrants any discussion besides the fact that Ezreal is insanely
he's great at Ezreal.
Fed.
Well, yeah, I mean,
yep,
you get
very true.
You give him a front line, and then he just, you know, as his name suggests, he aims his Qs, and when those hit, it's a lot of damage. It's pretty overtuned at the moment. It's a little bit sad he didn't get the penta here. I would argue that the play that happens after this in yeah, whoops.
Lucis like, oh, I can get it for you. No, I didn't.
I would argue the play that happens a little bit later on near the Wolves is more impressive from Aiming, but this one was the one that the straw that broke the camel's back. Well, it was kind of like it was a little bit, maybe it was like 10 minutes before that, but you know what I mean. This was like the fine. We had to get 2 clips. I don't know.
We made it through it, unlike the Kwangdong Freaks. Let's take a look at DK's POG here for game number 1. As I do wonder, I am very... Oh, it was Aiming! Oh,
45% of damage!
He almost hit the 2k DPM.
Yeah, actually, compared to Pace's game, I feel like this is a little bit lackluster. Better in KDA, but I think worse in DPM, if I remember correctly.
45% of team's damage within this year.
Team, let's collectively not give the 80 carries that play Ezreal, because he is super and like on the next patch, just so everyone knows, he's getting a 10% nerf, but like Karthus, you know, nerfs to Ezreal's Q are a really big part of why he's strong, because he Qs so much. So hopefully it's going to make him a little bit more fair. We already saw him played previous to the patch, and he will still maintain his ult buffs as well as his attack damage growth. So I don't think he's going anywhere, but I don't think he'll be this busted. I think that's off to Aiming. Like, for as much flack as we give him, when he gets his pick,
Is that a protest vote? Is that a protest vote? Like, legitimately.
Kellen did play clean game of Karma, but I don't...
It doesn't matter.
I don't...
They maybe accidentally put the X on the wrong spot?
Okay, no, I get it. Because
right next to the bottom lane.
No, I don't get it. If Ox votes Aiming, you know Aiming is the correct vote. There's no way around it. You gotta.
There was no other choice. It doesn't matter if the Karma had 3 kills. Like, yeah.
Could have gone for like a Lee Sin vote because it's funny, because it's new. It's
fun. It's cool.
Yeah. We were actually expecting that a little bit.
Yeah, actually, I was hoping someone would just be like,
he legitimately
cool,
was protesting Ezreal. He's like, I can't believe you let Ezreal through.
Honestly,
I'm not voting for Ezreal.
That's based.
Yeah, pretty based from Right Media, I guess. Guys, we're done here on the space. Let's go back to the casters for game 2.
Someone go and check on Right Media. I think that was definitely a cry for help.
You know, I actually think there was one other vote you could do that I think if someone did it, it'd be like, you know, fair enough. And that was Lucid, because he did the cool drive-by.
He did.
He had some good moments. If Right Media had gotten that, I'd be like, that's pretty based, you know. I'm a big Lucid fan, Chronicler not so much, so maybe he wouldn't agree.
Kellen's initiation was really good.
Kellen just kept walking in the enemy jungle and dying.
Yeah.
But
But it started all the fights
True.
that they won. What's up, Kuro? How you doing? Supporting his teammates.
Maybe it was the shock calling vote, because he's like, he saw Kellen speak, and he's like, Kellen's like, kill that guy Aiming, and Aiming does it.
Yeah, promoting his replay match that's coming up this week. Of course, they're like, Replay was always good, but I think that the group of players that they have in this season of Replay is like pretty second to none. I've been a huge Prey fan forever, of course. I could talk about Score for about 400 years. Kuro, such a lovely man. So it is just really, really fun. So I would recommend checking it out. And Kuro also going to be getting married soon.
Oh,
and then
congratulations.
did want to come back and play professionally afterwards, which is pretty cool, pretty fun. Well, you'll have to check out Replay to see whether he is at the level. As we will dive into this draft, we have LeBlanc and Vi both banned away. Remember, Quantum Freaks, they're on the blue side. And
Problem
so we
solved.
can have the same bans, and then they pick the Ezreal, and everything's fine.
Yep, they'll just handshake it, and Dplus will be like, let's not ban Ez. I mean, to be fair, you know, I think there are things that can make Ezreal harder to play, and there is Zac. So
Yeah.
I think if they leave Ezreal open, I don't expect Dplus to pick Zac into it. But this is an Ezreal first pick for Quantum Freaks. And now we get to see what Dplus will go in Xian. So we've seen Aiming play the Ashe. We had one really good game on it, one not so good game on it. Been a bit hit or miss, but it's definitely been what people have responded to into the Ezreal when they have left it open, as we saw in the last game. Gonna prioritize no more Lee Sin.
Ooh, Renekton Nidalee.
Renekton Nidalee. No more Lee Sin though, no more fun for King. Well, I guess Kingan probably enjoys playing Renekton.
How do you know that Kingan's going to play Renekton?
Oh, true. How do we know?
We don't.
We never know.
I lost my hair to a Showmaker Renekton performance. But that was with a Nidalee. It wasn't piloted by Lucid. Lucid is now hovering by his own volition.
Yeah, he's asking, can I have fun? And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, you have to pick Sejuani. And he's like, you know what? I'll just pick Ashe. I won't even pick my jungler yet. Ashe going to come out for Aiming in this situation. And on red side, you have that counter pick potential. You know, we saw the Leona Ashe into the Karma Ezreal not really pop off. Not really able to find too much presence in that lane. So hopefully they do something different to try and ensure that Aiming and Kellen have a good matchup in the Ezreal. And Cuz, it looks like he wants to deny the Nidalee away.
That is what he's going to do. We'll see what they pair it with, because if this is Nidalee Corki, I'm going to feel less enthused. And it is going to be Nidalee Corki.
All the skill shots, you know?
Yeah.
If all of them fire skill shots at the same time in slightly offset from each other, how can you dodge them all?
That's true. One of them will land. That is going to be the Leona lock.
I like that.
So,
It will secure some of those skill shots with the CC. Ezreal Leona really strong. The thing is, though, it does expose you to a potential counter pick. Kellen could whip out the Renata. Or, you know, Alistair's also a good matchup too. He's had some good games on that. But maybe they're just going to leave that until later. And it looks like they're opting instead for the Viego, potentially.
I think that could certainly lead towards some bans on things like the Ahri,
Nope,
stuff like
gonna
that,
be-
but instead the Renata.
Yeah, Kellen Renata, he's been pretty insane on this pick. And also the Ashe Renata. A very suffocating lane to play into as a melee support. You know, if you...
Oh, yeah.
Unless you can go in and 100% kill them, and it may come down to one missed Ezreal Q will be the difference maker. If you're not able to do that, then you're just getting harassed constantly throughout that time. Now, bans coming through. Jack's been denied, so Dplus not allowing Dudu to play that pick that people often like to take in Renekton, because you can just block his stun. Sejuani ban coming through. No Renekton Sejuani for Lucid.
I would assume that perhaps a Gnar ban comes in second for D+.
I think it kind of depends what your game plan is, because if your game plan is to heavily pressure top, you could punish the Gnar.
That is
true. Whereas something like
Poppy.
Poppy would be a lot harder to punish. It kind of feels like they're getting rid of picks that can just soften Renekton and hold him back. I feel like the Gnar pick would be pretty dangerous. I mean, especially with Cassante also banned away as well. Feels like they want to set up some easy dives to the top side.
Well, I could imagine that Lucid is pretty happy because the Sejuani is banned and so is the Maokai. So we might have to play something that's actually somewhat enjoyable, which I think would be very cool. Corki going to be locked in first, though, for Showmaker. That is going to deny the wombo combo of the Nidalee Corki. All of that setup and power is no longer there for Bulldog and Cuz.
Yeah, I wonder if Bulldog's just going to pick out another 80 carry in the mid lane. But actually, this could be a flex. And they put the Ezreal mid and take the Ziggs in the bot lane?
That would be better than Ziggs Nidalee. I feel like that's not a thing.
I think that's what they're going for here.
I kind of like it.
Ziggs into a mobile champions as well. You just do the little alley-oop with the ult arrow, which can be cleansed. Looks like Quantum Freaks are going to lean towards the Gnar, though. You don't know the jungle pick. You know you're into Renekton. This could be a bit of a danger point for Dudu. But looks like he is feeling confident with it and will lock it in.
What kind of magic damage-based jungler is Lucid going to... Shyvana. Watch it. It's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't think this is a great Shyvana composition, but we'll see.
Oh, Zyra would be better. It doesn't feel like a Lucid champion, but we are going to lock it in.
You know?
And so now you've got Zyra Corki, which is a lot of damage, especially in the mid-game. And the setup for the Zyra's Grasping Roots can actually be pretty strong with the Renekton. So, good angle.
Ziggs Ezreal's going, because they're kind of...
I don't want the Ziggs to be mid.
Yeah.
I think that would be mid.
You know, I feel like there's a lot of strong picks. Like, I think Ziggs into what D+ have is good. I think Ezreal into what D+ have is good. But I think the cohesion for Quantum Freaks, you know, making me a little bit hesitant. But I think D+ key, I'm a little bit concerned about them closing the gap onto the composition of Quantum Freaks. You know, they kind of lack engage outside of the Ash Arrow. And especially if people have cleanses, if people have ways of getting away from it, you might just be receiving a ton of poke without really a great response.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing how Quantum Freaks are going to be able to play this one out, though, because it is a very different look. They do have the Ezreal themselves, which is definitely a good thing. It was something that Leaper was really leaning on earlier in the season. Finds some decent angles on this champion. We wouldn't put him up there with our top Ezreal players. We have quite a few of them here in the LCK, especially with the quite meteoric rise of Pays on his Ezreal as well. But he might be challenging for 5th, which would be pretty good, considering the amount of players that are very, very good at it. But this is also a terrifying composition if you are to get into a team fight with them having control of an area. We'll see how we go. We jump into the Rift. All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. It is going to be a Hallow's End Zyra skin as well. It's been a while since we've seen that one. Little gravestones that you can put up. Pretty cute.
Pretty nifty. I think the thing I'm really concerned here for Quantum Freaks is you have a Nidalee, and we've seen, you know, King and Pilot Renekton pretty well in the top lane against Nars. The bot lane is double ranged against ranged melee. The mid lane is Corki against not Corki and not Lucian. So I feel like because you can see already so much aggression from D+, I think Cosmo have a bad time. And I think this is kind of part of the issue that Quantum Freaks have had is when it comes to mid-jungle duos, combinations, you think that makes sense. I can see why you put those two champions together. They don't really have that. It's like Bulldog likes, you know, he does like his 80 carries, but, you know, he'll also lean on those mages. And then Cos is like, I want to play Nidalee.
Yeah.
But if they navigate the early game well, if they manage to get to the laning phase okay, I do think that the poke trio is going to be hard for D+ to deal with. But that's the big question. They are going to go for a lane swap, which I think makes complete sense in this situation. Let's hope. We've seen some rough lane swaps, I'd say, recently, where, you know, you understand why the teams are trying to do it, you understand what they're going for, and then the execution is just a million miles off.
Yeah, it doesn't quite work. Thankfully, there's no Ivern in this game, so we can't get sad about that. With the camps being just brutally taken down, as I thought the spear was about to hit Dudu. It was a friendly spear.
Andal is 0-6 on Leona, and Cuz is 5-0 on Nidalee. So which is stronger? Well, the 0-6 is more, but
yeah. One
of the streaks is being ended.
Exactly. Let's see whether it's the positive or the negative. There's already a bit of a shove being set up here. Of course, we know that in the top lane, you're not likely to get too many plates because of all of the protection for the turret. Still, they're going to be able to get all of this experience off the map and go for a little bit of a transition back with a couple of levels under their belt, which is going to feel a little bit better. Demolish, though, for Kellen means that they're going to be doing a fair bit of work to this bottom outer turret. Yep.
As you should be in this situation, when you want the 2v2 bot, you got to expect there's a potential swap coming in, and the Demolish makes a big difference in taking that. So we see that the essential takeaway is they dip out and avoid the rough early levels. But in terms of catching XP, Kingen is going to get a lot here.
Yeah, we'll be able to get a lot of the XP. These minions are in really awkward ranges as far as actually being able to pick up the last hits.
You know, Kingen's level 3 and he's just now hit level 2, so that hasn't panned out. They've lost 2 plates bot.
So it's 400 gold is kind of the sacrifice here for getting Leaper and Andal out of this early game. And we'll have to see whether that is actually going to be okay, because we do know that, I mean, Ash Renata sounds like a horrible thing to deal with even now. But at level 1, it is also pretty terrible.
Yeah. I'm just concerned about the impact that's happened top lane with Kingen getting so much XP on the back of that TP. Sometimes it can be a bit risky TPing in there. If they're waiting to punish, we've seen that time and time before. You TP and instantly get dove. But the setup wasn't there. And as a result, he really got rewarded for that. And has an entire level lead over Dudu. And now they're setting this up with a big wave crash. You can see Cuz is running over. If Dudu gets dove here, his game is over.
Yeah, he's still level 2. Level 4 here for Kingen. Yeah, he needs this wave. He absolutely needs this wave. And there's the flash forward. Grasping Roots comes in. This is exactly what we were talking about. As the spear is going to connect onto Kingen, the dash forward. Cuz gets a little bit back. And there is a teleport to come through here. Lucid could be in trouble as Cuz gets the flash out. The spear needs to land. It does not. So Cuz gonna have to back away. Still, big answer there as Dudu is able to teleport back and pick up most of this wave.
Yeah, I think the big thing is Cuz being there allows him to TP back in, doesn't get redove. Kingen and Lucid are forced away, and Cuz getting a kill, and now he can get some damage on Showmaker.
Yep, spear is going to miss though. So Cuz gonna have to hop over the wall, but Showmaker follows him. He does have very little of the blue stuff, but Cuz just gets over that wall, primarily surges himself back up to somewhat of a health bar, and we'll just go back home. Ooh, looking for a spear. That's going to stop the back of Showmaker. Kind of annoying.
And actually, Bulldog gets some time on the tower. He should just... I'm not sure if he can get a full play here, but if he gets the empowered auto in the tower, it actually does so much.
Oh, yeah.
So can definitely prep it for later. And I feel like in games with the Ziggs, it doesn't matter which lane's tower, but you want a tower to get low so you can just walk over and satchel it. And yeah, I mean, this was a good setup from Dplus, but unfortunately, Kingen flashes in, does the double roll to just burst him, and then the minion block means he eats the spear.
Yeah, that was actually
follow-up.
Pretty tragic, because if that spear doesn't land, then Cuz doesn't get any of this.
With the TP, it doesn't end up being too bad for Dudu, and the fact that they're forced away, so Cuz getting there in time to recover the play. And honestly, I think with how bad top was, I think it's actually panned out better now for Dudu.
Oh, much better. And he's now ahead in farm. We'll be crashing a wave in, so Kingen should be able to answer that. But the fact that the levels are not completely skewed like they were before is certainly good news. Speaking of which, Dudu throwing some boomerangs around and trying to get some hyper procs as we've got Lucid securing these grubs. Kingen should be able to hold this wave into a pretty decent position for himself. That's certainly good news on that top side as Aiming and Kellen have been a little quiet. You can see that the Ezreal doing a pretty good job as far as lane is concerned. It's actually ahead in farm by just a little bit. Will be even when this this wave is equalized.
And that's the sort of situation that you get from basically doing the swap of on nearly levels. Can be really advantageous and just give you a lot more breathing room, because I think champions like Leona, level 3, I mean even level 2, but normally what happens in like a standard lane playing out, you don't get to touch the wave early because it's double ranged and they're so strong, Ashe and Renata. And then they get level 3 when you get, unfortunately misses. They get level 3 when you're still level 1 in the tower, and if you get dove, the game is just over. Whereas level 3, with Leona, you're such a threat. If Kellen missteps, he will just die.
Well, didn't misstep that time around as Dudu still has flash. There's a Stranglethorn.
Oh, the plant!
This one up, and the plant gives him the hop! Oh, no! That was
Massive
beautiful.
Backfire there. I think Dudu was just hoping for the best, thinking maybe I'll have to flash, and then the plant appears and gives him the little trampoline bounce to get away.
Yeah, wow. That's well played by Dudu, but a little bit unfortunate there for Lucid. And so he's not going to be able to get too much. Of course, he's still leading as far as camps are concerned in the jungle, so the Zyra doing what it says on the tin, but still wants to be able to try and fight in this top lane a little bit more than they are. This Renekton wanting to get value so that King can be that big front line later in the game. As we know that Renekton, if he's behind, really just doesn't feel like he does very much at all. It's okay, Solar Flare this time not going to really connect as Andal takes a big journey under the turret, but it's Kellen that's going to be the one that receives the death. And Kwangdong Freaks, they move to 2 versus 1 in those kill scores. This bottom lane going way better.
Nice setup there from Andal. This is the danger. You know, you're playing Renata Ashe, but the Ashe is the one with the cleanse. Renata doesn't have that summoner. You're a vulnerable target, and the damage, the burst from Leona Ezreal is just absurd at level 6 in particular.
Beautifully done. And so now the 2v2 working out very well for Kwangdong Freaks. They're already putting on a fair bit of pressure. I think Cuz getting that kill, big deal for him as we check it out one more time.
Yep, and I think Kellen should have just flashed the ult initially, but it was like, you know, he dodged it, didn't get stunned, but it was the slow was enough for Andal to follow up. And I love that Andal immediately flashed out to avoid the return kill.
As Kingen going a little aggressive here. We'll be able to eat most of the wave with that Cull the Meek. We'll just head back. Just wanted to put on as much pressure as he possibly could. Successful in that regard. As he still has a decent CS lead. This game is so much closer than what we saw in game number 1. Only 400 gold in it, but there is a Drake over to Kwangdong Freaks.
And honestly, I think if Kwangdong Freaks aren't behind at this point, I think they're pretty comfortable. They also early Ocean Dragon, one of the best in the game. Oh, nice.
Nice handshake. True Shot Barrage.
Not surprised.
Spear almost hits.
Not surprised when his Kellen, his handshakes have been super good, but early Ocean Dragon, so powerful in the laning phase. Definitely one of the dragons that falls off pretty hard, but getting one while you're still actually in the lanes can make such a big difference, just that extra sustain.
Showmaker is pretty confident on Corki. We have known him as a Corki player for quite some time. Not necessarily as much as, you know, players like Chovy, for example, this season, but certainly was one of the early adopters of the Corki. So it's good to see him playing with the confidence that we're used to seeing.
Beautiful walk strategy there from Dudu.
Yeah. It's getting a little bit rough for Bulldog in the mid lane. And now Lucid set up for something here in this top side of the map.
Yeah, it's close to Mega, so this is risky.
Well, they're going to do it again. Stranglethorns does come in as Dudu gets the Nara into the wall. Kingen is going to tank that last turret shot. Lucid tries to get in front, but it's just not going to be enough. And now Cuz looking to transition to another kill this time as the screw is not going to quite connect there. Lucid going to flash as now looks for the return, but doesn't quite get there. Cuz throws out a optimistic spear. And now Leaper doesn't have the ultimate, so isn't going to be out of fish.
Once again, a beautiful read from Cuz on the timing. The dive is being set up, able to make the counterplay. And Dudu, unfortunately, getting knocked up by the Stranglethorns meant he couldn't immediately stun Kingen, but it didn't matter. Cuz is still there to clean up. Can't take down Lucid once again, but they will definitely be happy with the outcome there. And now, Kwangdong Freaks are setting up on this top lane tower, and I would love to see Bulldog if he can make a move over just to satchel it, but I don't think it's going to be necessary.
Yeah, as Arrow going to connect here on to Dudu. He has to get out. Does have to use the flash this time around. Didn't have to use it topside. I think if he did, then maybe he was just dead in that play. Thankfully, didn't have to. And so therefore will at least keep his life. Is now Lucid. He wants to try for it once again. Grasping Roots does go wide. The plant's getting angry, but Dudu, man, he's got some footwork today.
Yeah, and it looks like Dplus going to win out on this, especially with the demolish in the bot lane, so they will be getting the first tower. Actually, the Ziggs ult is
not able to get that last one, so that is first Tower of Blood going over to Dplus. Kwangdong Freak's going to have to settle for second. That is going to be taken there. Still, I think that Kwangdong going to be quite okay with how this game is going right now. True Shot Barrage sails past its teammates and is going to be able to stop aiming's back. Nicely done. That might be able to get them another Drake.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have to recall regardless, so the setup's good. Leaper's already coming back on the map with a Triforce. Timing's pretty nice, and thanks to the people showing up mid and just helping Bulldog out, he's got the shove. And Showmaker, you have to defend your tower against the Ziggs. You can't give him any opportunity to pre-hit it, or it is just gone. Yeah.
Well, this is going to be just gone as well. The Drake down to about 50% right now. You can see the rotation over, but they're a little bit late. I have a feeling that DK not going to be able to quite get in here in time as Kellen takes a bouncing bomb to the noggin. And that is going to be Cuz with the fadeaway. That locks down the second Drake and a Hex Tech Soul this game as well.
it's always a powerful soul, but with a comp like this, with a lot of long-range poke, suffocating.
Oh, yeah.
It's just game is over if Quantum Freaks get it. And
Ezreal is pretty good.
Yeah. In stock of the game, we're now at a point where Quantum Freaks have managed to navigate the lanes okay. Gold is pretty even. They have 2 dragons. Oh, Kellen.
Yeah, that's a decent handshake once again as the hostile takeover comes in. We'll see whether Kellen's going to be able to survive. And the answer is no. The bailout, it comes forward. They're trying to fight this one out as Leaper. He's going to fall. Aiming now looking to try and kite out Handle. He does use the Zenith Blade to try and close the gap, but he is still very dead. And that's a double kill for Aiming Zash.
Overzealous play, you know, Dplus had the backing up their jungler there. They thought Kellen was alone. And unfortunately, Cos was not on the map, so Leaper and Andal look for something, and they find far more than they bargained for.
That wasn't what they wanted, as now Aiming able to come over and collect himself a red buff before he goes back home. Just purchased his Kraken Slayer. We'll see how close to item number 2 he's going to be able to get off the back of this one as we check out the play once again.
And you know, in this situation, if the stun connects from the ult, this play works so seamlessly because you just one-shot Kellen. He doesn't even get to pop W, but because he didn't get stunned by the initial ult, he gets the handshake, he stalls it out. The rest of the team are able to come up and they're able to get the cleanup. So good moves from Kellen. Even though he goes down, he made that play work. And now TP coming through. King and Showmaker here. Handle, I think they're just dead.
Yeah, the double TP to come forward. Mega Inferno Bomb does come down as Lucid's in so much trouble. Right in the back of the pit there is the Gnaw onto Showmaker as well. But Dudu's taking so much damage. Aiming is untouched. They do manage to get the Zyra, but now Aiming with that barrier is able to lock down the Ezreal Bulldog, trying to get as much damage down as he can. Kingin is fighting with the Rift Herald. Cuz is there. He's got Smite, so he'll be able to take that one out. It is a 2-for-2 in the end. Oh, 2-for-1 actually, but they do manage to get themselves the Herald, so Quantum Freaks kind of okay with it.
Very scrappy there in that passage of play. Dplus managed to edge out in terms of kills, but Herald goes over. We'll see what impact they can make. I think when a Ziggs is on your team, you can always get impact from a Herald. But here, the focus ends up kind of split. Lucid does get challenged here, and Andal finds this combo, but the nullifying orb, the rune, actually keeps him alive a lot longer than you expect. The ult from Dudu doesn't quite stun Showmaker, so he gets him taken down, and Aiming, challenging Leaper here, walking up to the Ezreal, taking him out. And even though everyone's low, in these situations when they're running away, it's quite hard to land those Qs on the Zig, so not able to clean up there. Dplus now with a slight gold lead, but Herald in pocket for Quantum Freaks to get some value from. I think honestly, mid, you throw it down there and you satchel, it is gone.
I would agree. I think this is, it's a big moment for Quantum Freaks. I think that if they can keep things in order, they should be okay. But the fact that Aiming and Showmaker are still absolutely huge in this game, it's a scary prospect.
Yeah, and as well, Quantum Freaks, their team fights are so skill shot reliant.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
You could easily see a team fight just completely imploding simply because, you know, Bulldog missed a Q, or Leaper did. So definitely a high skill cap composition they are playing right now. And they really have to be consistent on what they're connecting with, because if they don't, Showmaker and Aiming, they will just auto you down.
See whether they get the opportunity to do so, because I also think that having a Zyra there can be pretty devastating as well. You were mentioning that this mid lane turret could certainly be pretty close to death.
It's not quite in range.
As Arrow going to connect onto the Ziggs. There's the flash forward. Stranglethorns goes down, but the satchel is gorgeous. And Bulldog's able to get himself out with the help of his flash as well. 1 minute on this dragon, and that means that Bulldog will not have the flash available for that fight.
It is a trade of flashes, though, and I think, you know, you can play Ziggs at such a long range. Lucid is going to have to push up. He is flashless. If they connect the Leona ult onto Lucid, we could just see Bulldog throwing the ult on top of him again. He could be taking out the fight extremely quickly.
But
so we'll have to...
does a Zyra care if she dies, as long as she gets off the ultimate?
Well, that's the thing. They have to try and make sure she dies before she gets the ultimate off.
Aha!
But I think in terms of securing the dragon, you're going to struggle without your Zyra.
That is a very good point. Aiming now has his Phantom Dancer completed. That's what he's opted in for. We've seen a few static shivs.
It's a big spike.
But it's, yeah, 2 items.
Leaper's not quite at his prime spike. Neither is Showmaker, to be fair, but Aiming definitely feeling very strong right now around this objective.
And 10 seconds until that one is going to be up and available. Soul Point will be huge for Quantum Freaks if they can get it. And Dplus, this vision so incredibly, incredibly important because they need to try and deny being fish in a barrel. And Kellen going to get hit by that spear. And Cuz I mean, he's a big deal. He's 2-0-1. Leandri's already in hand. Got a Hextech cookie as well. And they've started off this dragon. Let's see whether Cuz can actually land a couple of spears to try and get on over here. They wanted to take down this Rift Scuttler. You can see Dplus Showmaker playing bouncer. The arrow is going to fly in. A bit of a zoning arrow there, actually kind of working out. But Bulldog's going to take this turret in the top side. And the Zig's getting so much value. Outer goes down in mid as well. Absolutely worth here for Quantum Freak.
I think it's the right decision. You know, you have your Ezreal just shy of that big spike you got to play around. You've seen Aiming's just got some massive items. Why rush it? You have the 2-dragon advantage. You can get that top lane tier 2, get a ton of gold on your Ziggs. You can get that mid lane tier 1. Structurally, the map is so heavily in favor of Quantum Freaks now with those extra tower pickups. And also, your mid tier 1 is healthy, and you have a Ziggs Ezreal on your team. That thing is not going to go down easy.
Oh, no.
I think Quantum Freaks made the right call. Yes, they could have risked it on the fight. But as you said, you know, very skill shot relied. If you mis-execute, that could just be the game. They took the surefire play.
I like it. Aiming now, parking himself in mid, but doesn't have the safety of that outer turret, so you can see he has to back away quite a distance to make sure that he's safe. Showmaker farming with these rockets on the top side. At least Bulldog's not going to have free time with the inhibitor turret. That is certainly good. But Quantum Freak's in a fair bit of control, even though the gold is completely even. We're ticking over 20 minutes into the game, and it is 34k apiece.
Oh, King is on this flank angle. Hasn't been spotted. Aiming. He's going to look for an arrow. Eventually, they end up not going for it. Cleanse available, and Leaper does make it hard. I think Leaper's backing now, but the Manamune Spike is fully stacked. Bulldog very close to Horizon Focus, second item. These are some big item spikes you can definitely play around. Arrow comes through.
Yeah, it's going to connect onto the flashless Zig. Sidestep from Lucid. He finds the Grasping Roots, Stranglethorns, but he gets the satchel off. Large damage from that Mega Inferno Bomb, but now the flash forward from Showmaker. Can he get it? Yes, he can. And that is going to be some revenge there for Showmaker from the mid lane. And 2-0-1 now on this Corki. He'll go back. He'll get that Muramana, or the Manamune, because that tier is not quite stacked up yet.
Oh, he's been...
True Shot Barrage.
Yeah. I will say,
the Riot
though,
Games logo.
against Zyra, you always have to be a little bit concerned, like, oh, could they Baron off the back of this? But Showmaker, Solo, and Mana, so much damage done. Actually, they're starting this up, but they are going to get spotted.
Yeah,
it should be enough to force them off it. That being said, they're still going. They know Lucid is low, and he wouldn't have had time to back. But I think this is too risky.
Yeah, they do get themselves out of there.
They force a TP. They can be happy they got something out of it. But yeah, I think ultimately Showmaker being so low on mana and Lucid so low on health meant that there was no chance Dplus could get anything off the back of that kill. It was just a kill. Yep. So Quantum Freak's not too upset about that one going down.
Bit of a nah there from Dudu, who does have a couple of waves of a lead over King in here as far as the farm is concerned. Haven't seen too much from our top laners though. I think it'll be largely about what they can get done in these team fights. Looking for second items for both of them. As aiming, we're going to check this out one more time. Throwing this arrow.
Yeah, and I just think he didn't react soon enough so that he could satchel himself out of the way of the arrow. He does satchel himself a large distance out so he can not get a follow-up. Showmaker flashes though, and I think Cuz was coming in with a heal. Or maybe, yeah, you saw him use it just on himself after that. So just not in time to heal him. Maybe he could have flash healed him, but at that point it's like, not sure if he would have decided it's worth it, or obviously thought he was going to get in range anyway. But either way, it is a kill for Showmaker, but it's not really going to change the state of the game as of now. It's a minute 20 on that Dragon, and you can see Dplus are setting up vision around Baron, trying to deny that. Very risky to go for a Baron against this Quantum Freaks comp, especially with Dplus on red side. You're going to be in a barrel. You're going to be fish in a barrel.
And that's not good.
That is not good. That's not what you want to be. There's still a lot of wards over there from Quantum Freaks, so they can really focus attention down towards this Dragon. And if they secure this third one, it'll be a massive boon for them. The stats from Hextech Dragons, ability haste and attack speed, great for like an Ezreal. Even like Nidalee and Ziggs are pretty happy with it, but getting one away from that soul puts so much pressure on Dplus. And they just recalled. You can see Lucid recalling now. Yeah. They don't have control of this area. They have to face check into poke.
And they did want to get some items, right? There's a Vampiric Scepter now completed for aiming, looking for a Bloodthirster as item number 3 by the looks. And they have Hawkshot, so at least there's that, as Arrow is going to get the flash out from Andil. True Shot Barrage comes on through. That's going to sail by. Looked very cool. isn't actually very useful, as now Lucid going to get hit by a whole bunch of abilities. Was that a satchel charge that got him out of the solar flare?
Got him out of the ult, bit of anti-synergy there.
That kind of looked a little bit like Lucid became Ziggs for a second and satcheled himself. It was very weird, as Showmaker's going to get snagged by an arrow, a spear, and that is going to probably just send Dplus away from this dragon.
Yep, your one engaged tool is the Ash Arrow. It's already been burned. You are late to the objective. You get poked out. You can see the... I don't think they can do anything here. I think it's just gone. And this is the problem I think Dplus's comp has into Quandong Freaks. You don't have great engage options. You are outranged heavily. If they ever get set up first on objective because you're late, you know, they went to buy after going topside, you just can't do anything, and now they are one dragon away from Soul. We've seen how suffocating it is if you're getting hit by these skill shots. You add the Hextech Soul, I mean, I don't even need to explain how over it feel after that. So Dplus are in a very precarious position in this game right now.
Yeah, I think they need to play pretty heavily towards this Baron. You can see moving towards the top side, wanting to put pressure onto Dudu. He knows exactly what's going on, though. Control Ward is going to be taken out, but did its job. The problem I see is, you know, the Ash Arrow picks, that is your angle. You know, you get someone to come over, you fire the arrow, you follow up. But other than that, your engage isn't fantastic. If you start the Baron, your turn isn't great. And, you know, as I said before, you can't be in the pit against this team. So if Quandong Freaks play it slow, play it careful, they should be in a great spot. Dplus are trying to get a pick on a Bulldog again. He has flash, though. He should not die to this. He is wary. Leap has done a lot of damage. That's what we're checking out as far as stats are concerned, as aiming comes on over, and they do just rush this wave down.
But it's a Ziggs.
Yeah, I think the wave should be kind of fine. Yeah,
that is what Ziggs does, you know?
There were still bombs left.
Yeah. Yeah, but he overpaid. But he's fine, you know? He left a big tip.
Yeah, so we're not going to be sieging this anymore, I don't think, on the side of Dplus. But what else are they going to do? Is the arrow is just going to look like it's frustratingly sent towards Andal, and he just walks. Don't even know whether he consciously tried to avoid it, but he did. And now, Quandong Freaks, they're going to start up the Baron. And
you can scatter with the plants.
Yeah, Lucid gets a plant in there. That's going to see what's going on, like you were talking about.
There's no pressure on Quandong Freaks. You don't need to rush down the Baron. You're in complete control.
Well, Grasping Roots, not going to quite find Andal there.
But they'll just keep pushing and prodding, seeing if they can force Dplus to make a mistake. But they're not really in a rush to make anything happen right now. They do need to be careful. They get caught in this choke. This could be dangerous against a Renata.
Yeah, we just haven't seen very much of the Renata's power, right? Because they get to fan out. They get to just throw poke in.
Yeah.
And you're not really trying to death ball engage.
Yeah.
Which is what the Renata is really useful for. So I want to commend once again Quandong Freaks for this draft choice. But also the way they're playing this out.
Yeah, I mean, I think when it gets to this point, it's so hard for Dplus. But there were angles for them to find momentum early. I think Cuz did such a fantastic job of shutting down the dives top. And the concerns about lanes, you know, they were alleviated. So this game could have been very different. Dplus could have just blown this out of the water and been already finishing the game now. But because of how things played out, Quandong Freaks played a smart one.
Oh, yeah, well, Arrow, once again, not going to find anything as Dudu just gets out of there. Will secure their blue buff.
Part of the problem with trying to make these engages work on the Ash Arrow is so many mobile members of Quandong Freaks. You know, even Ziggs has a satchel and he's the easiest target. Andal has the Warmog's extra movement speed, and then obviously the other three all have dashes. Leaper even has cleanse, so they're throwing these out, and this is what Dplus should be doing. They should be frequently throwing these ults out to try and burn summoners, to try and catch people. It's just not working.
No, not quite. And Bulldog very safely just farming into King in here, as we can see. Just going as long range as possible, just doesn't even hit. He was throwing that bouncing bomb from such high range. There's now Kellen just doing what he can to try and get some vision down. Let's have that Warmog's completed. One of the tankiest Renatas I've seen. But doesn't have very many resistances, so still will go down very, very quickly if he is ever caught out of position. That's why you can see a lot of people with him when he is on his little vision adventures.
Yeah, Bulldog just picked up Leandri, so a lot of health stackers on the side of Dplus.
Cool, Grasping Root going to connect onto Leaper.
Yeah, he wants to get the recall. Not a TP Ezreal, so might slow him. Oh, man. Might slow him on to getting on the map, but it is an Ezreal with Hex Gates. So it shouldn't slow him down too much. You can see Dplus learned their lesson from last time. They are setting up around the dragon as soon as possible.
Yep.
Lucid picking up the honey fruit. They know this has to be done. If they're there late again, they just lose soul.
And Arrow going to be flying out once again. As Bulldog not going to be handshook either.
I feel like Aiming's making decent attempts. Like none of the ults are that wide. It's not easy to consistently hit them at a distance. That hits. I remember there's a Ziggs ult. So Lucid, you're almost in kill range.
He's basically dead man walking. There's a flash out from Andil. Wanting to avoid the handshakes that are coming in from Kellen. Spear going to miss. There are a couple of Bloodthirsters picked up by the 80 carries of Dplus. Will be able to help keep Showmaker and Aiming healthy.
If they knew that Lucid was there, if they stopped him from coming back. They don't know he's recalled yet. Dudu is on this flank angle.
Yeah. And Kellen, I mean, precarious. The positioning here from sort of everyone right now as the Dragon's getting a little bit mad. Kingen dealing with the minion wave in mid lane. Lucid gets back Hex Gates, and one heck of a thing. That's going to help him out. These spears all need to be avoided. As soon as one of them lands, I think that's just soul.
Yeah.
Going over to Kwangdong Freaks, and there is one of them. Kellen is just dead. He flashes forward. Kingen finding the backline there as well. And it's a decent ulti from Lucid, but in goes Dudu. He'll find the crush. He'll find the wallop. And out goes Lucid from the fight. Showmaker can't do anything. And I think we're going to game number 3 as Kwangdong Freaks will secure the Hextech Soul.
Felt like the pressure was just building up. Skill shots being thrown out. The combo connects on a Kellen. And then the explosion of the fight. Kwangdong Freaks managed to clutch it out though. Managed to win it. Managed to get Soul. And now looking at Baron. This game is firmly in their hands.
And I want to go back to the draft. When we saw the Renekton locked in and the Nidalee hovered and they didn't lock it. It could have been the Nidalee on the other side, but instead Cuz says, no. You're not going to get Renekton Nidalee. I will take this one away, and Cuz has looked absolutely fantastic. There goes the Baron. Very comfortably secured here by the Kwangdong Freaks. And Dplus just... There's just nothing they can really do to close the gap without the arrow.
Yeah, I mean, this satchel into the Mystic Shot. Leaper gets caught by the ult, but cleanses it, and then disengages. Bulldog flashes out. Kingen actually does a lot of work, but the follow-up's not there, and Dudu comes in huge on this Gnar. Showmaker trying to make things happen, but the Ezreal damage is just absurd.
Yeah, I don't know how one of those rockets missed Leaper. I think it went through it.
I guess he leaped over it.
Yeah, I guess Ezreal is even more overpowered than I originally thought.
And now in the situation where, with the Hextech Soul, if some of this poke lands, the impact is so big because anytime Dplus are remotely close to each other, you just AoE slowing the whole team.
Yep.
One bit of poke lands, okay, well, now they're slowed. Next bit of poke lands. You know, you land a Nidalee Spear, that's going to lead into a Ziggs Q, an Ezreal Mystic Shot. It's just becomes so much harder. Now, Kwangdong Freaks are down sums, but so are Dplus. And again, the lack of engage tools is a struggle, but if they find a big arrow from Aiming, now is the time.
Well, Leaper is just going to try and throw all of his burst onto Showmaker. True Shot Barrage goes wide, though. So Showmaker will be alive for now. Mega Inferno Bomb comes down. There is hope for days. And Kwangdong Freaks, yeah, Cuz even going to land that spear onto Aiming.
It's brutal.
Yeah, it is. It's not looking very fun. There's also a Mega Gnar that's just traipsing his way down this top lane. And he is not really being answered. There is King in there, but Kwangdong Freaks, they'll just be able to satchel all of these turrets. Dplus spread way too thin as now Kellen going for a weird flanky angle, but nothing much to be found as 2 inhibs have been removed. We're looking for a teleport angle. Let's see whether King can actually get himself in. He flashes for it, and he's just by himself. He's going to be ripped to shreds. Mega Inferno Bombs up once again, and the bailout is on Aiming, but he's just dead, not getting out of this one. Bulldog, a massive game on this Ziggs, and Showmaker is just going to be torn from the rift. Kwangdong Freaks, welcome back to the LCK. We missed you.
Really solid performance there. I think multiple things went right for them. I think the draft worked effectively. The Ezreal, you know, obviously left open, a bit disrespectful from Dplus, but the poke-heavy composition, and our concern was those early lanes, but they navigated it well, and Cuz in particular showed up top when he needed to, and then when it came to those dragon setups, they knew what they had to do. They got there early, Dplus was late, and it ended up backfiring massively, and now Kwangdong Freaks, you know, they've been in a bit of a slump, but playing like this, It's realistic to see them taking down D+, and that'd be a massive scalp to take.
100%. You can see Quantum there sitting in the back as well, just in case Andal runs into any extra problems. But I don't think after this one that Andal's going anywhere. Quantum Freak's looking pretty good, and I like that they made adjustments. This is something that we've said, is that Quantum Freaks haven't been a team that have adjusted during a series very well. But this, I feel like they made the right choices. I think this was more on D+, on their decisions made, especially in the draft phase, not quite getting them into a position to have a way forward if those early dives top don't work. But they didn't, and it was mitigated beautifully by Quantum Freak. So I don't want to take anything away and say, oh, draft difference and things like this, because I think Quantum Freaks, they had a plan, and it worked so much better in the late game.
Yeah, you know, obviously D+ did just win with Ezreal in game 1, but the expectation is a stronger team with Ezreal will win. Quantum Freak still had some hurdles to navigate, and they did very well. I will say, though, for D+, you need to be able to lock down an Ezreal if you're not that open, but I think just ban it. It's a simple option.
Yeah, banning it sounds like a good move. They can move back to the blue side now, but we're going to move to a break. When we get back, the space is going to break it down, and we'll be there for the last game of the series.